In each of these videos, we're going to look at one of the three building blocks of debate. That is briefing, flowing, and line-by-line speaking. All are skills that the more you do, the better you'll get at it, meaning these are perfectible skills that you want to continually practice. So don't get too frustrated at the beginning. There are debaters who are still in their second or third year having trouble with some of these principles. The very first one that we're going to look at is briefing. And first, here's what briefing is. It's the concept and idea of organizing your arguments and your evidence. There's a whole lot of things that go on in a debate round, so simplifying it is a huge advantage. That means we want to take large amounts of pre-written arguments and evidence that we've gathered and make it easily accessible and deliverable in round. This means creating both a filing system and an organizational tool that you'll be able to quickly utilize in round during prep time. To do this, we first utilize a program called Verbatim. And all Verbatim is a template that you use on Microsoft Word. It's free, open source, and it works wonderfully on your school computer. To get there, you go to www.paperlessdebate.com. That's www.paperlessdebate.com. Once you're there, you're going to receive an option to download it for either Windows or download it for Mac. Pick the one that your operating software is on, go ahead and download it, and you may have to change some of your privacy settings to be able to download that, but it's something that debaters around the country have been using for years and have never experienced major problems with it. It's not going to dramatically change Microsoft Word for you. Instead, it's going to create a bunch of shortcut keys and a navigation panel that those shortcut keys go to. That's essential in round to be able to keep tabs on your evidence and be able to find it quickly and efficiently. Let's look at the concept of what goes into a brief. This computer yet, that's because it's my wife and I don't want her to say I can't use this computer again. All that Verbatim will do is create a navigation panel here that shows your briefs in the order that you want. And second of all, it gives you shortcut keys up here that you can use to do some of the things that I'm manually going to do. If you use Verbatim, it will help you both in round and out of round by saving you tons of time. The one disadvantage of Verbatim is it's not Google Drive, which means it doesn't save right away. You can get around that by using something like Dropbox or Microsoft Teams, which will keep your Microsoft Word Verbatim documents in cyberspace and automatically save for you in that way. That would be my recommendation for those of you that like the functionality of Google Drive. So a brief is just a sheet of paper, but you want to be able to access your evidence very, very quickly. And so the first thing that happens is going to be a hat. The hat will generally go into the center of your thing, and it is 3 to 5 words that only you are ever going to see. So it doesn't need to be that grammatically correct in order to understand, as long as you understand it. So for instance, something here might be "Ja Ja Ding Dong" equal best song. Okay? Everything on this sheet of paper is going to fulfill that hat. So if I have a piece of evidence that says "Ja Ja Ding Dong" is not the best song, that would be a new brief under its own hat. But the hat goes on top in the center, just like a hat would go on the top of your head. The next part of a brief is going to be the tag. The tag is the synopsis of the evidence or argument that you're making. Because we want to debate for the judge and we want to make it easy for the judge, we're looking at about 5 to 9 words here for the tag. Now this is going to be said in round, so I want it to be a little bit more sophisticated than the hat. So I might do "Ya Ya Ding Dong might be the greatest song ever." You look at that, it's a little long, but it's going to be simple enough for the judge to get. And obviously, if we're having a debate about the best song or "Ya Ya Ding Dong" itself, that's going to be able to get shorthanded pretty easily. The next thing we have is the citation. Now, if you're doing a logical bit of evidence, you're going to be perfectly fine with no citation. However, if you're sourcing somebody or quoting something, or you have clipped a card, which is what we term evidence, you're going to have to include that cite. That site's going to have two parts. The first part is read in round. The second part you're going to put in parentheses, and that includes the rest of it to be able to find it if you are accused of falsifying something or cheating or making something up. So what does that two parts look like? So the first part might be the New York Times. I also need a date. So let's say it's May 25th, 2020. In parentheses are going to be things that I don't need. Maybe it was written by Sam Smith, who's a staff writer for the New York Times. That's helpful to have if I need to find it. I might need the article title, Grading Eurovision Songs. And I need the publication, which we already did, which was New York Times, and we already did the date, so I don't need to include it. Lastly, I would want to include the web page, which for this purposes, I'm just making something up. So sadly, you don't get to actually click on that web page. All of that is going to be necessary in round. Lastly, I'm going to include my evidence or my argument. If it's evidence, I have to start at a sentence and I have to end at a punctuation mark. I have to include everything in between those 2 points. So I can't cherry pick one sentence, then skip a few sentences, and then have another one. I can underline the parts that I want to read so that I'm only reading part of it, but I can't take any of that out of context. This then becomes a brief, which allows me to organize my evidence very quickly. A lot of time outside of round, you're going to be making briefs, and the process becomes pretty easy. Let's take a look at what this would look like if it was purely a logic brief. So I once again am going to start with my hat that Ya Ya Ding Dong is the best song. I then have to come up with some arguments and some thought process for why this might be. Number one, it overshadowed the Eurovision winner. I'm going to put a dash here because this is a logic argument. So instead of having evidence and a cite, I'm just going to have a further explanation. But you'll see my tag, overshadow the Eurovision winner, is pretty short, nice and easy. I might even want Ya Ya Ding Dong overshadowed. There's my first argument. My tag is going to be read in round so that the judge can write it down. Ya Ya Ding Dong overshadowed the Eurovision winner. Then I'm going to actually say my argument. Now in round, I might want to look up here and not use the exact written, but it's helpful to have it there in case I want it. Okay? The second argument is going to be that Ya Ya Ding Dong is the most important or most popular. My third argument that I'm going to make as far as a final argument here is going to be that it's catchy. Now, it's likely you're not going to get into a debate about whether Ya Ya Ding Dong is the best song on Eternity, because nobody would pick something that is only clearly one-sided. And by the way, if you haven't heard Ya Ya Ding Dong, head over to YouTube and find the delightful video where it plays on loop for 10 hours. It's a remarkable use of your time. Now, doing this outside of round allows me to take this piece of paper in round and utilize it. Just because I came up with 3 arguments doesn't mean I need to use all 3 arguments in round. Maybe I only have time for one of them. I'm going to put my best argument first, just as a reminder that it's my best argument, but I might be able to use more later on, or maybe my second or third argument fits debate number 2 better than I thought it would. When you go into round, depending upon what event, you're going to have between 20 and 500 different briefs, some of which you'll trade with your partners. And so using Verbatim from www.paperlessdebate.com is a fantastic way to organize your evidence and do it the way that other debaters around the country and your teammates are doing. You need a hat, the tag, the cite, and the argument or evidence. If it's logical, you don't need a cite because it's just coming from you. You're not quoting or claiming anything. And that's it for now. Hello, hello. Test, test.